Hello, 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 hello. This is Pat Carosa, and as some of you know, I've done some radio videos earlier this year, and I'm a huge Buffalo Bills fan. And I talked about the off season, and now we are in the season, in almost midway through the 2018 Buffalo Bills season, and let me just say that it is one of the most offensive challenged years I have ever seen. Our defense is coming along. I mean, they're getting pressure on the quarterback. They're stopping the run. They're really becoming a dominant defense that we thought the Bills would have at this point of the season. Even though the first six quarters of the season was not characteristic of the Buffalo Bills defense. They are now really, in my opinion, one of the best defense in the NFL. But they can be one of the best defenses in the NFL. But if the offense doesn't help, they can't win. And here's my problem with the Bills' offense. Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane have neglected the offense for the past 2 years now. And that's really what I've seen from the Bills this season and even last season. Last season, the Bills really had trouble with receivers. They didn't have any receivers last season. And now they didn't sign any receivers besides Jeremy Curley, who was cut earlier in the year. So now the Bills don't have any receivers. And that is a problem. And you think for the past 2 years, think about before Sean McDermott came on in 2017, who were the Bills receivers for ending the 2016 season? You had Sammy Watkins, Robert Woods, Marquise Goodwin. You had really three good receivers in there that could make a difference right now. And as we move along, Sean McDermott was hired, and they didn't really do anything on the offensive side of the ball, especially last year. And they signed maybe, I know they signed Andre Holmes and Patrick DeMarco. Are they doing anything right now? Of course not. No, they're making no impact on the Buffalo Bills right now. So, for the last 2 years, they really haven't signed anybody on offense that has impacted them in a way that will help this team win. And in my opinion, that is just a fireball offense that they had to do. It's something that is almost speechless. That they couldn't get anybody of impact. That they traded away Sammy Watkins, who they still had for possibly 2 more years, but they didn't sign his tenure, which was not the greatest thing to do in the world, hindsight-wise, because they could still have a good receiver in Sammy Watkins. I know he hasn't done much, but he still would be the best player on the team right now, with Josh Allen, who he desperately needs a receiver. So I just think that, I'm hoping in the offseason that they'll line themselves up with a lot of offensive talent, and that will improve the Bills. But man, it just doesn't look good right now. It really doesn't. It looks very, very poor. And now it's the second part of where I'm going with this is the quarterback position. They have totally mismanaged this quarterback position, which is not a good thing. They finally drafted a top quarterback in Josh Allen, and that is all fine and good, but you need to surround him with talent, which is what the Bills don't have. Sure, they don't have any offensive line, which is okay, because it was a tricky situation last season, but still there were players to be had in the draft last year that the Bills couldn't uh, pick up because they traded all their picks for Josh Allen, and I think trading the 2 second-round picks in the first third-round pick was really tough for them to get a quality center, wide receiver, or even a guard to replace Eric Wood and Richie Incognito, and even get some productive receivers. So that's my opinion on that. So right now it's very tough, and with the quarterbacks, obviously they thought AJ McCarron would be the stopgap between him and starting Josh Allen. Obviously, that didn't happen. Nathan Peterman looked good in the preseason, which didn't surprise me because he looked good in the preseason in 2017. And I expected him to go into Baltimore and maybe not fail as I thought he would, but he would struggle because he couldn't handle the pressure. And what happened? That's exactly what happened. He self-destructed, and at that point, after that game, that's when he should have been released. No matter what the coaches thought of him, no matter what the players and what his team thought of him, that's when he should have been cut. And the Bills at that time should have signed a veteran quarterback like Derek Anderson, because you can't tell me that Derek Anderson wasn't available on September 13th or 14th, whenever the day after that game ended. You can't tell me that he wasn't available during that time. So you start Josh Allen, have a mentor behind him, and go on your way. Because if they had a veteran quarterback behind them and not Nathan Peterman, I believe that the Bills would have won that game against Houston. There wasn't going to be a pick six. But we also don't know if Josh Allen would have made that throw that Nathan Peterman had, which was an absolute dime of a throw to Zay Jones in the back of the end zone. So I know Josh Allen is struggling, but if he had a veteran quarterback behind him, that would have made really a big difference. So, and that's the other side point, is a veteran quarterback. You knew going into the draft last season that you were going to draft a quarterback. That was really obvious from what the Bills were doing, even in August of 2017, when they were training all their players for draft picks. And, you knew they were going to draft a quarterback. So I was shocked and surprised to see that they were not aggressive in getting a veteran quarterback during free agency last year, and really mentoring or being a stopgap to a guy that they knew was going to start either in week 4 or in mid-season in 2018. They didn't do that. They didn't get any skill receivers in the passing game, and now this is where we are, where the offense cannot move the ball. And I don't care who you have in there, if you have Aaron Rodgers or any of the other 3 top quarterbacks, they will struggle because this offense is just not doing it, not protecting the quarterback. And their run game is a little bit better, but still, it's a work in progress. So, really, I think really the defense will keep the Bills in games, but it's going to be a lot of low scoring games, and that's I don't think the Bills. I think the Bills are good for 2 or 3 more wins, but for right now, I mean, you can't put Nathan Peterman back in there against the Colts. I think Derek Anderson is going to start, and I don't see him doing much, especially since he was signed the last week. I don't see him doing much, but uh, you know, something has to happen because right now it's not looking good. And honestly, Sean McDermott's blind faith uh, Nathan Peterman being in the on the team is tough. And really, his blind faith in Nathan Peterman lost him a game in on Sunday. So that's right now the offensively, the Bills are not in a good place. They are not in a great spot, and I really don't see much improvement. I think Josh Allen will be out for at least a month. But he could come back against New England, but that looks a little severe, so I would expect him to be back in maybe 2 or 3 games. But man, I think this is the offense that they're going to have the rest of the season. I don't see any improvement, and you just hope that Josh Allen fights out of it and progresses. The thing about Josh Allen as I end here is that he's been in the same spot for really his all 5 of his starts. He's been in that same spot. He hasn't regressed, in my opinion, but he hasn't progressed. There's been some open receivers in the middle of the field, but he hasn't hit on them. He needs to learn how to play the small game. Maybe dump some 5-yard passes there, some 10-yard passes there, and then go for the big game later. But that's what he needs to learn. And the only way he learns that is to keep playing, is to keep him out there, keep playing, and see if he's really the answer. If he's really our future quarterback that will hopefully send us to the playoffs and maybe even go and win a Super Bowl. So, that's what I see. But I think that's next year when the Bills get more talent on offense. So, that's my view of the Bills, and I hope they improve. But at 2-4, it's going to be a tough road. It's going to be definitely a tough road. So, till next time, see you later. Go Bills.